I'm once again League posting on main. Why do these League of Legends games keep being good, while the actual League of Legends game is like stepping into an Iron Maiden? I will say that Convergence is similar to Mage Seeker in the way that it had to grow on me. Started off kinda meh, but became more and more fun, and then at the end kinda frustrating. The reason the game starts slow here is to get you used to the mechanics one at a time, because once you have access to everything, it's a lot to have to think about. You start with a jump, dodge roll, an attack, and the ability to rewind time, and grow into having a double jump, an air dash, wall run, wall jump, freeze time, some ability that blows up boxes, activating things with your time ball ranged attack, grinding on zip lines, and pole vaulting or whatever. It is a huge ask to get you used to all this stuff at once, and that's why they come at you slowly. At the end of the game, it's like 1 or 2 abilities away from being too much. And with everything they have here, they've already used up all the buttons on the controller, and that ability where you make a time explosion or whatever, you have to press R1 and L1 at the same time. And quite often I would instead activate an ability that's already bound to R1 or the ability on L1. And that's something that frustrated the hell out of me. You play as Echo in the League of Legends canon universe. The canon universe and Arcane are 2 different timelines or whatever, and that makes me sad. Echo can travel through time, mostly rewinding back like 15 seconds. He lives in Zaun and something bad's gonna happen there, and Echo's gonna save the day. Since Echo can rewind time when he gets hit or fucks up platforming like I often do, he can rewind time and do it right. And the rewinding consumes a time charge or whatever, so you should think of it as a second health bar, and I often thought to myself, do I want to take the hit or waste a time charge? Because there are some situations where really just taking the hit is the best option. Like if you're completely surrounded. You are expected to waste a lot of time charges because the game will throw a lot of enemies on you at once. And sometimes those enemies will only have one way of defeating them without taking damage, and that's your ranged attack, which is on a long ass cooldown. So I often have to just run away from those enemies while I wait for my ranged attack to come back. Which is just annoying and a real breath of new stinky fart air from the usual speed everything else in the game goes by. The game is at its best when I can platform fast or go from enemy to enemy fast, and enemies that you can only kill with a ranged attack really fuck that up. And the way platforming speed gets fucked up is when the controls hit their limit. For example, when I'm riding a zipline and have to jump off and throw a ranged attack into a thing, and for some reason I am unable to throw the ranged attack when I am on the zipline, which is really fucking weird and can't be intentional. Most of the game is fun, and its peak hits before you get the final 2 abilities. I think its issues come mostly at the end, with enemies that force you into a boring playstyle, and with platforming that requires precision that is hard to execute on with these controls. Again, most of the game is smooth and fun. The game is also a collectathon. Collecting upgrades and different color schemes for Echo that are called chromas. You do these platforming challenges to get upgrade things, and these combat challenges, and some are pretty hard. Like, some to the point that I'm like, I did all this for a fucking chroma? But it's really satisfying when you do these challenges flawlessly, and watching 100% speedrun is probably gonna be pretty close to the definition of catharsis. As for the story, I enjoyed it. It's mostly predictable with some twists I didn't expect. And it jerks your League of Legends fan boner quite a bit with champion appearances. The characters were good and there was no one I hated, but I will say that the arcane characters are better. The characters here were pretty one-dimensional. I recommend the game if you enjoy platformers or League of Legends. If you don't, then you can probably skip the game without missing out on much. Plus, it's a pretty short game with a low replayability factor. I enjoyed the game and I don't think I would play it again, but the rewind time mechanic is such a unique thing that I couldn't experience somewhere else that I might play it again just to experience that again. I give the game a Darius out of the Raven or something, I don't know. Man, I'm too busy grinding Diablo 4 to come up with something good. Review for that soonish. Subscribe, call me Uncle Brian, and have a good day.